Emulators for years have been one of the best ways to experience retro games. Most games from the 80s, 90s, or even 2000s have many aspects holding them back, keeping them in the past in a way. Today, technology has advanced in many ways that were never even imagined back then. Virtual reality, 10K gameplay, we can create an engine that realistically articulates light paths in real time for ray tracing. But yet, there's still a problem with that. Try going back to an older console. For this example, let's use the N64. You set up the console by setting it down and plugging the power cable from the wall into the plug on the back of the console. Next, you take the composite cable and wire it from the console to your modern flat screen TV. That's assuming your TV even has composite input. You power on the system, reminiscing on the old days when you were a kid. You play the N64 for hours on end. You see that iconic spinning 64 logo. Memories fill your head. You're excited. But here's the thing I didn't mention. You also play games like Assassin's Creed and God of War. You're used to modern day high-end graphics. The title screen comes up and your immersion is broken. You see two very large black bars on both ends of the screen. The game runs at such a low frame rate it looks like it's being run through 60 different HDMI cables, and worst of all, plugging the N64 into a modern TV without any mods or upscalers makes the game look pixelated and disgusting. The game looks nothing like how you remember it. Time has not treated the N64 well at all. But what if I were to tell you there were new, better ways to experience retro games? With better graphics, frame rate, and custom textures. Enter the world of emulation. Before I proceed further in the video, I just want to let you know that everything I mentioned will be included in the description. If you're looking for something and it's just not there, feel free to let me know. It's likely I forgot to include it. That being said, I will not be distributing any ROMs. That is kind of illegal, and this video is for educational purposes only, and I don't want Nintendo to find me and nuke my house. Thank you. So we know plugging a console directly into the TV with no HDMI mods or external upscalers will result in a poor looking image. I will be going into full depths about these mods today, just to purely focus on emulation. For those of you who don't know what emulation is, here's a brief overview. Emulation is a software that basically tricks the game file into thinking it's being run on native hardware. You might be thinking, isn't emulation illegal? Well, it may surprise you, but no. Emulation itself is not illegal in any way. What is illegal, however, is the distribution of Nintendo's games online. It's a common misconception that emulators are wrong and you should always use the game's respective console. The problem with that is the game could have various bugs and glitches that couldn't be patched, especially for older games that had no online updating functionality. Modern emulators can not only fix these glitches, but also enhance the game significantly. Some titles include the option to double or maybe even triple the original frame rate. Most emulators also have the option to run a game with custom texture packs for a more enjoyable experience. In many cases with older games, it's hard to even tell what the developers were trying to display. Upscaling the video, as previously mentioned, does not upscale the textures, leaving you with high-res polygons and grainy textures. Texture packs can improve the quality of the image easily. That's probably a good time to mention, you can not only run emulators on your PC, but emulators can also be run on your phone. The whole appeal of the Nintendo Switch is mobile gaming. Play on car trips while camping, taking a shit, it really does not matter. Now imagine that, but with your favorite childhood game that's not severely overpriced and has mediocre gameplay. Nintendo Switch Online. Now, emulation isn't the only way to experience older games without the hassle of a clunky brick console. If you're a Zelda fan, chances are you love Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. With those two games being the first 3D entries in the Zelda franchise, their graphics barely hold up to today. With the love of these games, fans have always wanted to treat them with high amounts of appreciation by remaking the game or developing mods for the game. There's a modder named Ship of Harkinayan, I can't read, you know this, that's made an Ocarina of Time PC port. Emulation is good at all, but it can be demanding and limiting with what you can do with the original code. I'm not exactly an expert when it comes to the technical side of things, but I think it's pretty safe to assume running the game natively from your personal computer will give the game more options for customization. Widescreen capabilities and 60 FPS, have been something that emulators have failed to do forever. With this project, it makes the game feel more modern and fresh than ever before, breathing more life into the game, if you will. I'm not trying to devalue emulators or say that one is better than the other, but exclusively in Ocarina of Time's case, I think the PC port might be better. I think the PC port might already be the most definitive way to play the game in 2022. That's praying Nintendo doesn't nuke the project like it did with the Mario 64 port a few years ago. Oh my god. Let's pray. I think it's a pretty well-known fact that Nintendo really doesn't seem to care about keeping these beloved games alive. You could go as far as to say playing N64 games on the Switch's own emulator is one of the worst way to play these games. There have been various bugs and glitches with these games. Ocarina of Time had an issue with its water for the longest time that made it look like dirt, and Majora's Mask came with its fair share of bugs too. The opening cutscene, the fog is a lot lighter than the original, overall ruining the creepy feel. Oh, and it wasn't just the intro. I failed to mention that it's in the rest of the game too, so isn't that lovely? But that's a bug that wasn't exactly fixed. These might sound like small, minor complaints, but keep in mind, this is Nintendo we're talking about. No company this size should have software that runs this poorly for this high of a price. People are already upset about the standard NSO subscription price. The only way to play N64 games on the Switch is having an NSO account, and on top of that, pay an extra $20 or so. $55 a month is not a fair price to be playing games with buggy gameplay, when I can get a better experience just playing on a 20-year-old console. But I digress. I really don't think you came here to listen to me complain about Nintendo. We've talked about taking the original game code and running it on our modern devices. But what if there was a way to remake the game entirely? Make the game feel infinitely more fresh and new. CryZENx has been working for years on Unreal Engines. His biggest project by far is his Ocarina of Time Unreal Engine. That's right, CryZENx has done something incredible. He's working to remake the entirety of Ocarina of Time in the Unreal Engine. Even if things don't work out for one reason or another, it's still incredible to see the work being put in. And not only CryZENx has been doing this, RunLink is another modder working on something in the same nature. These versions of the game, although cool, aren't really a great way to play them. They're more like just concepts. I just figured I might mention them because, I mean, we're on the topic. I just figured while we're on the topic, they're a pretty good honorable mention. Now, I mentioned texture packs before with emulation. A YouTuber by the name of Narelle has recently released his free Majora's Mask texture pack. The pack not only includes high-res replacements for every texture in the game, but also includes reshade and ambient lighting effects to simulate shading on models. If you want to play Majora's Mask, I recommend using his pack. It stays very faithful to the original. Which again leads into what I was talking about before about emulators. To answer the question, what is the best way to experience an N64 games in the modern day? I'd have to say emulators. While it can be convenient to just pull out your Switch and start playing games, it's just overpriced for something you can have for free. I mean, it's common sense. They can be very buggy and they just glitch out. I don't even know, man. But the best way to play these games in the modern day is Project 64, hands down. Unless you're trying to play Ocarina of Time. In that specific case, the Ocarina of Time port is probably the best. And that really says something about this guy's work because the PC port just came out, I'm pretty sure like a month ago or something. And it's already dominating. Pretty sure it already has a 60 FPS patch. And that's not even mentioning its widescreen capabilities. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm currently playing through Link's Awakening on Yuzu Emulator for the Switch. And it's going pretty nice, I do have to say. So if you want to check it out, this series is running right now. I'm on like episode 5. You come stop by, say hi. Have a great day. No, I don't know why I went on that rant about Nintendo. Why do you ask?